Life is tenacious. It finds a way, even when the odds are stacked against it. Imagine being stranded alone in a strange and unforgiving place. This is the story of survival, the story of sheep stranded on an island with no grass. Their world changed overnight. A storm had driven their ship aground, leaving them on this desolate rock. The sheep were terrified. They were used to green pastures, not this harsh, unfamiliar landscape. The island was unforgiving. Jagged cliffs rose from the sea, and the ground was bare rock. The sheep huddled together, bleating in fear and confusion. The crashing waves echoed their despair. Days turned into weeks. The sheep grew thinner and weaker. Their wool, once thick and lustrous, became matted and dull. The relentless sun beat down on them, offering no escape from the heat and their growing hunger. Hunger gnawed at their bellies. They were grazers, used to the sweet taste of grass. Here there was nothing but dry scrub and hard, grey rocks. Some sheep nibbled at the tough, thorny bushes, but these offered little sustenance. The sheep grew desperate. They wandered further afield, searching for any scrap of edible vegetation. The lambs, too weak to search, huddled by their mothers, bleating pitifully. One day, a ewe named Freya, driven by desperation, ventured down to the water's edge. The flock had been struggling to find enough food in their usual grazing fields. The grass was sparse and the land was dry. Freya, with her keen sense of smell, had caught a whiff of something different, something that promised sustenance. The waves crashed against the rocks, throwing up a tangle of seaweed. The ocean seemed to be offering a gift, a potential solution to their hunger. Freya watched the waves, mesmerized by the rhythmic motion and the glistening seaweed that clung to the rocks. Freya, remembering a time when she had tasted seaweed near her old pasture, cautiously took a bite. The memory was faint, but the taste was familiar. She nibbled at the seaweed, feeling the crunch and the burst of salty flavor. It was different from the grass she was used to, but it was food, and it was plentiful. The seaweed was salty and unfamiliar, but it was food. Freya chewed slowly, savoring the taste and the texture. She felt a sense of relief wash over her. This could be the answer to their problems. The seaweed was not only edible, but also nutritious, providing the minerals and vitamins that the sheep needed. Freya ate her fill and then, bleating loudly, called to the rest of the flock. Her call was urgent and filled with hope. The other sheep, hearing her, began to make their way down to the shore. They were hesitant at first, unsure of what Freya had found. Soon the sheep were all gathered on the shore, tentatively trying the seaweed. They nibbled at it, testing the taste and texture. Gradually their hesitation turned to eagerness as they realized that the seaweed was indeed a viable food source. The flock, once weary and hungry, now had a new source of nourishment. The Seaweed Solution had brought them hope and sustenance, transforming their struggle into a story of survival and adaptation. Section 5. The Climbing Sheep. The seaweed provided some sustenance, but it wasn't enough. The sheep continued to grow weaker. One day, a young ram named Douglas, while exploring the cliffs, discovered patches of tough, salty grass growing in crevices. Douglas, surprisingly agile, managed to climb the steep rock face to reach the grass. He ate greedily, regaining some of his lost strength. He then led the other sheep, showing them how to navigate the treacherous cliffs to reach the hidden pastures. Section 6. The Unexpected Swimmers. The sea, once a source of fear, became a lifeline. For centuries, the sheep had roamed the rugged cliffs and grassy meadows, always keeping a wary distance from the unpredictable waters. The ocean was a boundary, a limit to their world. But as the climate changed and food sources became scarce, necessity drove them to the edge. The sheep, initially terrified of the water, discovered they could swim short distances between rocky outcrops. It was a revelation that changed everything. At first, only the bravest dared to enter the water, their hooves slipping on the wet rocks. But soon, more followed, driven by hunger and the promise of new grazing grounds. They found new sources of seaweed, a nutritious and abundant food that clung to the rocks just below the surface. The seaweed, once ignored, became a staple of their diet. The sheep learned to dive and pull the slippery plants from their underwater perches, their woolly coats buoying them up as they grazed. Occasionally they discovered patches of edible plants on small islands accessible only by swimming. These islands, untouched by other grazers, offered a bounty of fresh greens. The sheep became adept at navigating the waters, their once clumsy paddling turning into confident strokes. Their wool, once a burden in the heat, now helped them stay afloat. The dense, water-resistant fibers trapped air, providing buoyancy and insulation against the cold. What was once a disadvantage became a crucial adaptation, allowing them to spend more time in the water without succumbing to the chill. They even learned to time their swims with the tides, avoiding the strongest currents. The sheep were adapting, becoming more than just grazers. They were becoming survivors. By observing the rhythms of the ocean, they knew when to venture out and when to stay ashore, minimizing the risks and maximizing their chances of finding food. On these small islands, they found not just food, but a new sense of freedom and resilience. The sheep, once bound to the land, had become masters of both earth and sea. They stood proudly on their new territories, their wool glistening with seawater, a testament to their incredible journey. They were no longer just sheep. They were pioneers, explorers and survivors in a changing world. Section 7. The Return. This is a tale of unexpected reunions and the enduring bond between man and nature. One day a distant sound reached the island. It was faint at first, almost imperceptible, blending with the natural symphony of waves and wind. But soon it grew louder. A rumble, then the unmistakable put-put of a boat engine. The sound was foreign to the island, a place where silence reigned supreme. A fishing vessel, blown off course by a storm, was approaching the island. The storm had been fierce, tossing the boat like a toy in a bathtub, but the crew had managed to steer it towards the island's welcoming shores. On board, the fishermen were astonished to see sheep, their wool, thick and matted, grazing on the cliffs. These were not wild sheep, but domesticated ones, their wool a testament to years of survival in the wild. The fishermen, recognizing the brand on the sheep, realized their origin. These sheep belonged to a shepherd they knew well, a man who had lost his flock in a storm many years ago. News of their survival reached their shepherd back on the mainland. The messenger, breathless from his journey, relayed the incredible story of the sheep's endurance and the fisherman's discovery. He rushed to the island, tears of joy in his eyes, to bring his flock home. The reunion was emotional, the shepherd embracing each sheep as if they were long-lost family members. The bond between them, forged through years of hardship and separation, was unbreakable. Section 8. A Changed Island. The island, once a prison, had become a testament to the sheep's resilience. They had transformed from timid grazers to resourceful survivors. The landscape, too, had changed. The sheep's hooves had broken up the hard ground, allowing seeds carried by the wind to take root. The once barren island was now dotted with patches of green. The sheep, upon their return, grazed on the familiar taste of new grass, a symbol of their remarkable journey. As Section 9, Life Finds a Way. The story of the stranded sheep is a powerful reminder of nature's resilience. Faced with seemingly insurmountable odds, these creatures adapted, survived, and even thrived. Their story is an inspiration, proving that life, in its ingenuity, always finds a way. It teaches us that even in the harshest of environments, hope can blossom. It reminds us that within each living being, there exists an untapped well of strength and adaptability, waiting to be discovered.